So now we're going to talk about HSL and HSLa. We've got blue, we got RGB and RGBA. We have hex. You could just do hexadecimal, which is red, green, blue, right? So let's look at that code and see what that hex looks like. So I never use that, and I'm like, oh wow, you could do that? I wasn't even aware you could do that. So here's background color. Oh, you could totally do that. I know about that, right? So here is pure blue, hexadecimal. So FF is pure blue. You got 0 through 9 and A through F, where 0, 0 is nothing and FF is the other end. And what is FF in hexadecimal? That means it's going to be 16, because that's F, and it's going to be, we have 16, and then we have 16 to the power of 16. That's a pretty big number. FF in hexadecimal, FF in hexadecimal. FF in hexadecimal, FF equals 255. Oh, FF equals 255. That's the ones place. 16 to the 0. So 16 to the 0 is 1, so F is 16. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A is 10. B, C, D, E, F. It's 15. Is that right? Why am I spacing on that? Is that 15? Hexadecimal. Hexadecimal to decimal. Let's look at that. Decimal value 15. Convert. Hexadecimal F. Convert. It's 15. And so, 9 would just be 9. A is 10. F is 15. And then if we had the next place where it's 16 to the 1, 16 to the 0 is the ones place, and then 16 to the 1 is just 16. And so that's the 16s place. And with F, we want 15 16s. 15 times 16 is 240, plus 15 is 255. I don't know if that makes sense. Probably not. But there's 0 to 255, 0 to 255, 0 to 255. So it's like RGB, but in hex. And then we have HSLa. And we have 240, we have 100%, we have 50%, and we have a alpha factor on that A. What is the 240? The hue? So that's 0 to 360, I think, like a color wheel. Pick your color, right? 0 to 360. So let's look at a color wheel. Color wheel. And let's just see if they all are the same. Red's at the top, yellow's at the top, green's at the top, right? So I'm not sure if there's some official color wheel. We could play with it. And the saturation is like, and lightness, understanding HSL. Okay. And understanding HSLa 65 plate steels, yay for HSLA CSS tricks. That looks pretty good. Huge sogging long bottoms, high strength, low alloy steel. No, we're talking about hue, saturation, lightness, and alpha. And hue, think of a color wheel around 0 and 360 are reds, 120 are greens, 240 are blues. Anything between 0 and 360 values and below will be modulus 360. So above and below 0 to 360 is just the remainder of that. So you just use 0 to 360 is what it's saying. It's completely denatured grayscale saturation. 100% is fully saturated, full color. Lightness is completely dark black, completely light white. 50% is average. So let's play with that. And we'll do that with here, our same example. 0 to HSLa. And we're going to go with HSLa. And we have, we'll do 0, should be red. Hue, saturation, we'll do 0%. Lightness, we'll do 0%, and we're not going to do alpha. We're just going to do HSL. And let's pop that open. Black. Because hue, saturation, lightness, let's bring lightness up to 50, because it told us that lightness is completely dark, 100% is completely white, 50% is average lightness. So we've changed that to 50, right? Now we're got some gray, hue, saturation, lightness, 50% lightness, hue, saturation, 0%. What if it's 1, right? Just 1 degree. So still, let's go to 100% lightness. That's all white. This is halfway between white and black. So that's hue, saturation. That's lightness. What's saturation? Let's do 50% saturation. Okay, so saturation. What about no lightness? Right? Black. What about 100% lightness? White. What about 50% lightness? Red. What about 100% saturation? Bright red. What about 0% saturation? Back to gray. Right? There's no color in that. Right? 40% saturation. Right? 70% saturation. It's kind of a nice way to do it. I never use it. So there we have hue, saturation, lightness. And if we go down to like 180, right, we get that green. And we could say I want a fully saturated. And if I did fully light, that's that. But if I go to 90, right, 900 is too much, right? A lot of white in there. A lot of white in there. And if I come down from that, less white in there. And if I come down a lot from that, like more black in there. So that's the lightness, white and black. The saturation is how much of that color is getting in it, you know. And then the hue is where on the color wheel do you want that. Hue, saturation, lightness. And then I have my alpha too. So if I did my 0.5, I got to make this an A. Now I'm going to see through this. Kind of like HSLA. Let's see what else it has to say. Why is it cool? The real appeal of HSLa is that it makes more intuitive sense what changing the values will do to the color. Well, maybe. Increasing the second value will increase the saturation. Decreasing the third value decreases the lightness. That makes creating your own color variations on the fly easier. I'd wager that most of us can't create nice and consistent color variations like this using RGBA. HSLA also makes changing color values programmatically easier. Check out the demo tool emphasizing that. So what are we changing there? I'm not sure what it's changing. So it looks like this is HSLA 0 transparency. I'm not sure what that's supposed to do for us. Why is it less utilized? If you have ideas why, let me know. The hue, saturation, brightness can't be used with HSL. You could use these RGBs from Photoshop in that. Getting HSL, there's a little app called Colors that lets you get the colors. Browser support, my tool. I created Explorer. There are 2 slides. Top one controls the hue and second one controls opacity. So we got hue. This is opacity. And this is hue, saturation, lightness. So all we're changing here is the hue part, the H. Top one builds a grid of 100 color variations where the saturation and lightness are varied on a matrix. So, you know, we were able to get complementary shades, saturation and lightness. I don't know. What do you think of it? I like it too. Makes me kind of want to see if I could create a color palette. Like there's certain theories behind color palettes, and so there's like Adobe color picker. And you could go to create, or right here, analogous, monochromatic. So these would be all the same point on the color wheel, right? But their hue would be the same number, but their saturation and lightness maybe vary. Right? You can see where the colors are picked from right there. Here's a triad. So that'd be like 0, it'd be like 120, 240, 360. And we've got a yellow color right there, and then we've got 2 colors from there. And we've got 2 there. And this one is going to have a little bit, you know, less saturation lightness, but the same hue. So you could see if you understood that stuff, you could just type that in and kind of picture it in your mind. This is a nice place to find color palettes. Cool? Cool.